everyone. I'd like to first of all apologize for the late start. We had a technical issue, and as a result, we're starting half an hour later. So I'm hoping that the participants and everyone present will be able to at least stay for half an hour longer, given that we've started half an hour after the actual time. I'd first of all like to welcome everyone to this first virtual forum that the consulate is hosting with regards to investment in St. Lucia. My name is Joanna Sultan. I am the Consul General for St. Lucia in Martinique, Guadeloupe, and French Guiana. As most of you all may know, our role at the consulate is not only that of protecting the interests of our nationals residing in the French territories, but also to promote trade and investment. And so we at the consulate are especially pleased to be hosting this investment forum in collaboration with the Martinique Chamber of Commerce, an event that was supposed to take place 2 years ago, but due to circumstances beyond our control, we were unable to host it back then. And again, last year with the COVID lockdown, it was impossible to even set a date. But there's a saying that nothing happens before its time. And in this case, I believe that is true. With COVID wreaking havoc on economies worldwide, it is even more important now to find ways to encourage economic exchanges within the Caribbean, in particular between neighboring islands, and which can help to re-stimulate our economies. And so this forum serves to highlight investment opportunities in St. Lucia, which by extension, we hope will lead to dialogue between potential overseas investors and those ready and willing to do business in St. Lucia. I would now like to introduce Ms. Gilda Charles, our attaché cultural at the consulate, who will give just a very brief overview of the investment forum and what is to be expected. Charles.
Thank you, Ms. Sultan, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for being so patient. We at the consulate aim to diligently serve the government and people of St. Lucia, and it is within this framework that we organize the St. Lucia Investment Forum, a unique opportunity to virtually showcase the investment possibilities which exist in St. Lucia. This forum seeks not only to present these investment prospects, but also to create linkages necessary between entrepreneurs and business entities in Martinique and St. Lucia, so as to considerably boost their cooperation and also our respective economies, which, as you know, have been severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Today's speakers will focus on different sectors of the St. Lucian economy, such as housing and urban renewal, manufactured and import-ready goods, the citizenship by investment program, etc., so as to provide a comprehensive overview of the investment possibilities which exist in our beautiful island. It is our hope that this forum sparks increased cooperation and communication between St. Lucia and Martinique's business entities, and that these exchanges result in economic growth and diversification. I would now like to introduce our moderator, Ms. Pascale Lavinia. Ms. Pascale Lavinia was born in Paris and raised in France, where she studied up to the university level. Upon completion of her A-levels, she chose to pursue a major in English, which led her to the US, where she began a journalism program at the University of South Florida in Tampa, Florida. She obtained both a bachelor's in journalism and a master's in political science and international relations from USF. Ms. Lavinia began her career at the WUSF, a radio station that is part of the National Public Radio, and then embarked on an adventure as an independent freelancer, which took her to New York, where she covered the United Nations for various media. In 1993, she was solicited in Martinique on the occasion of the launch of the first private local television station, TCI, to cover Caribbean news. This marks the beginning of a professional and personal life rooted in the native land of her parents. Today, Ms. Lavinia manages a team of journalists at RCI, a general radio station, and keeps abreast of local issues and of the Caribbean through many interviews and broadcasts. Ms. Lavinia, it's up to you.
Thank you very much, Gilda, and thank you also to Ms. Salton. I just want to maybe turn to the technical person, because it seems that the interpreters, the translators have a little problem with their sound. So would you please check, because we are going to speak English this afternoon. So that's why I welcome you all, and I'm very proud and very honored to be able to moderate this forum this afternoon. The forum that is jumping borders, because we are close now today to St Lucia, our lovely neighbor from the south, as we like to say in French here. So this forum is also a challenge, and Joanna Salton pointed it, a challenge in these times of COVID-19. And it comes also, of course, as one of the highlights of this month of international business partnership put in place by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Martinique. So I welcome you all in St Lucia and Martinique, and I hope this is going to be a really interesting meeting, and you can have a lot of answers to the questions that you may have. Of course, with the precious collaboration, and I hope the technical point is solved now with our translators this afternoon, which are Karine Vinan and Célia Dupont. In addition to Gilda's presentation, I would like to point out the fact that you can put your questions in written in the chat box, because I will be picking up your questions and read them at the end of our first part of the session. So you can have answers from our speakers this afternoon. So don't forget to write down your questions, and I will pick them up. In French, of course, if you want to ask your question in French and you're a native French speaker, or in English, wherever language you want. Okay, so that's not a problem, and you can do it as soon as possible. You don't have to wait until the end. So I'd like to first introduce this afternoon our first speaker, Mrs. Alana Lansicot-Bryce. I welcome you. I know you are connected. You are the investment service manager at Invest St Lucia. So, of course, I got a little bit of information on you, Ms. Alana, if you may. You're employed with Invest St Lucia since April 2010 as investment officer, and you've been promoted twice during your 7-year tenure. Mrs. Alana Lansicot-Bryce has been serving in the capacity of investment promotion and fulfillment manager since 2015. And in this role, she is responsible for all investment promotion and facilitation efforts of the organization. She's an accomplished professional with international experience in the areas of finance, accounting, law, sales, project analysis, and brokerage investment. Mrs. Lansicot-Bryce is the holder of a bachelor's degrees in business administration and master's degrees in international business. So we welcome you. Mrs. Lansicot-Bryce, for your presentation.
J'avais oublié que j'avais un Zoom à écouter, d'après ma maman.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and good afternoon to everybody.
Les investissements qu'il y a d'ouvert
Thank you
Sainte-Lucie.
to the Consulate General and the Chamber of Commerce for putting on this event.
Sainte-Lucie, c'est une île anglaise à côté de la Martinique.
I will just go through a little bit about what Investir is and then talk about some opportunities, and then how you can
Et que c'est en anglais.
St Lucia to
Et vu que c'est en anglais, j'aime bien.
share my screen so you could see my presentation. Can you see?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so thank you very much again. So Invest St Lucia, we are the investment services agency. The investment promotion agency, and our job is to promote St Lucia as a destination for international investment, as well as facilitate businesses that want to enter St Lucia. So we can support a business from the time they want to come to St Lucia from start to finish. We provide a number of services, but just to give you a general overview, we provide advice on local business climates. We help you obtain your permits, your approvals, your licenses. We can match you with a project here if you're looking to partner with a local. We help you navigate the business environment, And also, once you have established in St. Lucia, we continue to work with you to help you identify ways you can expand, support you in your expansion process, and troubleshoot any issues that you may have. Now, in terms of St. Lucia, if you're looking to do business here, you need to understand what the economy is like. So St. Lucia is primarily a services-based economy. And you can see from this chart, of course, our services are typically in hotel and restaurants, real estate, renting, other business activities, financial services, and other service areas as well. And then we also have ICT and then the growing manufacturing, agro-processing sectors. So in terms of business opportunities, in St. Lucia, we help businesses in whatever sector. But we have identified some key areas where St. Lucia can provide a competitive advantage to businesses if they choose to establish in certain areas. So those three areas are business outsourcing, tourism, and manufacturing and agro-processing. So for outsourcing, so if a company wants to hire another company to provide support for their customer service, admin, sales and marketing, market research, lease abstraction, medical health records, financial services, we actually have talents and companies in St. Lucia that do that. St. Lucia was actually the first country in the Caribbean to integrate artificial intelligence into our economy through one of the outsourcing providers we facilitated from start to finish here at Invest St. Lucia. And the reason St. Lucia has been able to do this is because of our talent. We have a highly skilled talent pool and they're highly trainable. And of course, because of our ICT capabilities here, St. Lucia has 88% internet penetration, and we actually are working on enhancing and expanding our fiber optic network. So in terms of opportunities, we are really looking at specialized knowledge process outsourcing. So that could be in the areas of lease extraction, for example, market research, financial services, medical transcription, architectural, things of that area. These are niches that St. Lucia has a competitive advantage in and can provide a solution to a business. The next area would be manufacturing and agro-processing. We provide a lot of support in St. Lucia for companies that want to transform the products and goods in St. Lucia. That is chiefly through the industrial zones that we have and the free zones that we have. I'll talk about those a little bit later in my presentation. But St. Lucia has one of the best shipping ports in the OECS. And because of the international arrangements we are party to, as well as being members of the OECS and CARICOM, it makes St. Lucia an ideal choice if you want to establish here and then ship your goods to other parts of the OECS, CARICOM, and further afield, the United States, Canada, etc. Some of the opportunities in manufacturing include food and beverage, condiments, packaging materials, dairy production, organic fertilizer, household and industrial cleaning products, and of course, pharmaceutical products, really using the local biodiversity that we have for developing herbs, treatments and medicines to treat illness. And of course, the last sector that St. Lucia is known chiefly for is tourism. So St. Lucia offers distinctive attractions and a diversity of leisure options that have made us attractive and an award-winning destination. We do have a very aggressive strategy for growth of the tourism sector. That was pre-COVID, and that is very much the case, even more so during and post-COVID. And we welcome investors with innovative ideas that are designed to protect St. Lucia's beauty, as well as the ecological and environmental sensitivity of St. Lucia. So specific opportunities could be in the areas of ecotourism, health and wellness, specialty restaurants, branded resorts, boutique accommodation, as well as entertainment businesses. To give you an understanding of where St. Lucia gets most of its visitors from, most of our visitors come from the United States. About 44 to 45% of our visitors come from the US, followed closely by the rest of the Caribbean, the UK, and then Canada. We expect a strong recovery in St. Lucia, even though we were affected by the onset of COVID. I can tell you that all of the investors in St. Lucia that were in the tourism sector, particularly the larger investors, all continue to advance their projects. All of the projects are moving forward and all of them are on track. And with the increased airlift we see coming into St. Lucia, we expect a very robust recovery of the sector locally. So with all that being said, how can you enter St. Lucia to do business? It's actually quite simple, and Invest St. Lucia can walk you through the entire process. So you need to obtain a business name, you register and incorporate your business, register with the Inland Revenue Department, as well as the National Insurance Corporation. So from there, because you would be from Martinique, a Martinican business trying to enter St. Lucia would have to obtain a trade license. It's just a license saying that you are permitted to do work in St. Lucia, and you need that license once you own, once a company is owned more than 50% by a non-St. Lucian. So you could apply for the trade license, or you could go the route and partner with a local, and there would not be the need for a trade license. If you want to purchase land, we can help you apply for alien land holding license. And if you need to bring in a specialized team to work in the business, we can also help you apply for work permits. So once you've established the business, you have your trade license, you can then move on and apply for tax benefits. Several incentives are available to support your business and help them grow. And I'll touch on this a little bit later as well. So speaking about the business environment, government policy is really to support sustainable investments, and most of the enterprises in St. Lucia are privately owned, and there are incentives for manufacturing, tourism, ICT, outsourcing, and other services. And St. Lucia continues to make significant investment in infrastructure, not just roads, ports, and bridges, which there is significant amounts of that's going on, but there's also significant investment being made in talent, in our people, to make sure that we have a workforce that is able to meet the needs of business coming into St. Lucia. We are not a heavily regulated jurisdiction. We do protect intellectual property rights. There is policy and regulation on competition and consumer protection. And as I mentioned before, environmental and health related concerns are regulated and monitored through special licenses and approvals. When you're coming here, in terms of taxation, of course, nobody can avoid tax. So taxes are on income. So for companies and individuals, there's taxes on goods and services through our value-added tax, taxes on property, and of course, payroll-related taxes. That's our national insurance agreements. So if you are looking to produce a good or service in St. Lucia for exports, there's several ways you can go about it. You can establish in a special development area. These are places in St. Lucia that have been specially designated to provide businesses special benefits in terms of taxation, credits, and other incentives. Or you could locate in the St. Lucia Free Zone, where all merchandise, goods, or services entering St. Lucia are actually exempt from import taxes and related charges once they are being re-exported out of St. Lucia. And of course, you can also invest through the Citizenship by Investment Program. I see Tajma from the CIP unit is here, and she can discuss that further. But you can make a qualifying investment in a pre-approved project or through bonds or a fund, and you could invest in that way. So as I mentioned, once you have your business established, you should more than likely apply for tax concessions, waivers of taxation from government. So this can include, based on your business, whether the type of business, the sector, the number of people you're going to employ, the amount of money you're actually going to be putting into the business. You can get waivers of corporate income tax, border taxes on any materials, equipment, fixtures you're bringing in, alternative energy equipment. You can get waivers of property tax, alien land holding license fees. You can also get a waiver of that, and it runs the gamut. And you can carry forward your losses for accounting purposes, as well as repatriate any profits or capital out of St. Lucia. So with that being said, the reasons to invest in St. Lucia are quite simple. Apart from being a close next door neighbor with great cultural ties among us. We are an award-winning destination for tourism and business. We've been ranked the world's leading honeymoon destination and Caribbean's leading honeymoon destination several times. We're ranked in the top 10 of doing business in the region. We're actually number 2 ranked in the English-speaking Caribbean. We've been awarded Location of the Future for investments in the Caribbean. And we've also won several awards for investment projects that have been facilitated by Invest St Lucia. And of course, there's strong support by government for investment opportunities. And there's significant infrastructural projects taking place in St Lucia just to expand the capacity for what we can do here, including things like the airport redevelopment, the roads and the bridges that are taking place here. And several companies have chosen to headquarter their business in St Lucia internationally, as well as from the OECS. So this depicts some of the companies that are actually here right now and plan on being here and are making plans to be here. So you have everybody from Heineken to Marriott to the Grand Hyatt, Coca-Cola. We're all here, and we'd love for you to come and be a part of this team of businesses that are transforming and bringing business to St Lucia. So I will be available for the B2B meetings as well as my colleague, Mr. Philbert Lubrin. But if you have any questions, you can also reach out to us directly. Our email addresses are here, and we look forward to speaking with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Alana Lansiquot-Bryce, for your presentation. Very rich and very interesting. I just wanted to ask maybe to the other speakers if they may speak a little bit slower so that our translators who are doing simultaneously translation can follow. I guess, but Miss Alana, I think it was good because I did not get any notification that they could not follow you. But anyway, if you can just slow it down a little bit, but that would be perfect. Also, reminder that we do take your questions, your written questions, because there will not be oral questions later on. So you can write them in the chat. I see I already have one already, so please do it. The chat box is open. We are going to welcome now our next speaker, Mr. Ivor Daniel. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Yes, you've been patiently waiting. So you are Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Infrastructure, Ports, Energy and Labor. So you've been over 30 years, you have over 30-year experience in public service in St. Lucia. Mr. Ivor Daniel has had the responsibility to implement the largest investments in road infrastructure in St. Lucia, including the road improvement and maintenance program, a phase budgeted at $42 million. Mr. Daniel is actively involved in St. Lucia's geothermal development project, and he has worked with the energy team specifically towards the installation of solar photovoltaic systems with battery storage in schools. Mr. Daniel holds a professional accounting designation as a member of the Certified General Accountants Association of Canada, a master's degree of business administration from the Australian Institute of Business, and the designation of Chartered Director from the Caribbean Government's Training Institute. So, Mr. Ivor Daniel, I welcome you again, and please start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here, and let me give welcome and thank you to the Consulate General and the Chamber of Commerce of Martinique. I'm happy to be on board. I do not think that Joanna gave me the chance not to be. I'm glad to be here for sure. Let me just attempt to share my screen. Just give me a moment. Give me a moment as I do this. Take it that you can see it now. Can you see my screen?
We can now.
Okay.
We all set.
Okay, I should borrow a line. I think you've introduced me. Thank you for this. I think I borrow a line from the St. Lucia, our tourist board. Let her inspire you. So we're hoping that St. Lucia will inspire and invite everyone to St. Lucia in the near future. This afternoon, I'm going to focus mainly on energy and infrastructure. I think you mentioned what I've been engaged in. We have quite a bit of work going on now with our road projects. And I think Alana earlier mentioned our Uranera International Airport that is currently ongoing. That is on with our sister agency, the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority. But this afternoon, I'll have a further concentration on renewable energy. We, in St. Lucia, our main objective at this point is to lower the electricity costs, as in St. Lucia, the cost of electricity is US 33 cents per kilowatt hour, and we really are aiming as a country to be able to do this. We're hoping that we can, while carrying out and meeting those objectives, we hope to maintain a reliable service. We've been fortunate in St. Lucia to have the St. Lucia Electricity Services, who's given us a very reliable grid. And so we are hoping to maintain that. We also want to reduce our dependence on fossil fuel and become more energy independent. So there are a number of initiatives as a country that we are pursuing, a number of initiatives that our energy unit is actually pursuing right now. What have we done? We've recently committed ourselves into the Paris Agreement, and we've now, St. Lucia has revised our nationally determined contributions, and these are the NDCs that were agreed at the Paris Agreement, and our renewable energy targets set are to achieve 45% by 2025 and 50% by 2030. We are on our way to doing this. There are a number of challenges, but we remain committed as a country to make our commitment to reducing the greenhouse gases. We also embarked on a national energy transition strategy, and in there it contains an integrated resource plan. And the cabinet, we were able to obtain cabinet's approval in 2018 for the nets, and that the nets actually is helping us transition in from a full dependence on fossil fuel to have a mix of solar, wind, and geothermal, as well as now with battery storage becoming a lot cheaper and more affordable. We're hoping that we can bring a mix of battery storage into there as well. And we do not wish to forget that energy efficiency within building, and up to also the electrification of vehicles as one of the other means of bringing cleaner energy into the country. With this, we've gone out on a sort of a bold strategy and a bold approach to bring in renewable energy, and various interventions have been undertaken. We've been able, as a department, as a ministry, to obtain through the Italian government 3 electric vehicles, and we also can boast of the utility having one as well. We also have been able to establish a solar carport at our office that is also providing energy to the building, and that's about 56 kilowatts of electricity in there. We've also able to establish a 200 kilowatt system at our Owen King EU hospital that is also tied to the grid. That's providing much reduced electricity costs to our health sector. So we've been able to pursue this. There are a number of initiatives also at the school levels that we've been able to do by establishing solar panels on various schools, doing energy efficiency and energy audits at various institutions island-wide. So far, in St. Lucia, we can boast of having on average about 2 megawatts of grid-tied solar PV systems. And this system it comprises both residential and commercial installations. So this is where we've demonstrated at the ministry, at the government level, that we can have the electric vehicles. We test them. We've been able to encourage and work along with the utility to get the utility to set up solar charging ports around the island. But we have also been able, through concessions, to get a number of households, a number of commercial entities to really get and invest in solar PV. Though I must say that the ceiling, the cap on it is not so high. Well, because at the commercial stage is about 25 kilowatts, and then for the household is about 5 kilowatts that they can really have on the system. But we're hoping that we will in the near future with the enabling legislation to allow this to happen. And so with our enabling legislation, we're hoping that we can up the commercial and have more utility scale solar PV systems in the near future. So with speaking about utility scale, the scale solar farms, the utility some year ago, Lucille was able to, and it's now currently being utilized. A 3 megawatt utility scale solar farm was installed in Vieux-Fort, and that's been able to provide, so far it has generated about 6.84 gigawatts of electricity. So you can tell the amount of savings that one would have obtained and the displacement of fossil fuel, greenhouse gas emissions that we would have, the amount of carbon that we would have reduced. So that we're hoping that we can invite, with the change in legislation, invite international power producers to St. Lucia to now invest in such systems. But that again would require the enabling legislation to allow that to happen. We've also at the government level, since we're speaking about solar farms, to now obtain a loan with the guarantee from the government of St. Lucia, so that the utility can also establish a 10 megawatt solar farm down in Sainte-Lucie. That would also have, along with it, a 7 megawatt battery storage with this. So that is ongoing. It is funded through the International Renewable Energy Agency and the Arab Development Fund. So that this would allow the utility now to carry out and to engage and to develop such a project. So this project, we hope that it will take some shape in this fiscal year. COVID having delayed a lot of those investments. We are also working with the Global Environment Facility, and there's a little opportunity here where there are a number of components to this project, where we will be pursuing our passenger mobility policy and our low carbon e-mobility strategy. We also will have a bit of certification and training for our first responders. We will also now do an uptick in electric vehicles, and so we are hoping to be able to fund some 20 electric vehicles and also installation of charging infrastructure somewhat around the island. There will be tax breaks along with this, and we also expecting that we can have some policy with regards to how you dispose of the batteries and even the vehicles when they have reached the end of their useful life. So all of those things would now contribute to a cleaner environment. So you're not going to now reduce our dependence on fossil fuel and then now pollute the atmosphere with batteries and all of these other items. So we're looking to have a policy when it comes to this, and to ensure that we contribute and do not degrade the environment any further. What's going to happen in the near future? Some years ago, we got close enough to St. Lucia having a wind farm. The intention was is to establish a 12 megawatt wind farm in the country. The investor was pretty much excited until, unfortunately, he died suddenly through a crash, a plane crash. So we're now seeking to now move further with this, but COVID-19 has certainly delayed this project. The location has been identified in Ansconnot in Dennery. The studies have been conducted, albeit with the former investor or the last investor, and it has identified the location that it has the potential, and it is one of the better locations, or the best location in St. Lucia to establish that wind farm. Government in itself was sort of, our responsibility was to deal with the land issues, and to ensure that those matters were all sorted out in order for the investor to have this enabling environment to come in. to make this investment. So this is an investment that is still very much open, one that the country, to my mind, is still committed to. So this is one of the areas that we are looking for potential investors to come in. Another one that is of significance to us, the peak demand in St. Lucia is 60 megawatts. So we were looking through our renewable energy sector development project to establish a geothermal project. This geothermal project will allow and will provide the base load for the country, and it will provide roughly about 50% of our base load at this point. This project has been funded primarily through the World Bank. The feasibility has been completed. We've had the environmental assessment feasibility. We've all have this completed. We've had the consultations with the public since we conducted the study, and we also now we've identified the locations to have to drill the slim wells to be drilled in order for us to prove that there is a resource. So the science has indicated the resource is there. It is available. You now need to get to drill 4 slim wells to be able to prove this. This is where we're going next. The World Bank, we're working very closely with them, and we're hoping that in this calendar year that we will have the project in the second quarter of our fiscal year, which will take us somewhere June into September or thereabout, that we would be able to get this project approved. What we will be doing soon after approval is to get a management consultant, which is an exploratory management consultant, and that consultant would now be able to supervise the civil work, supervise the drilling, and all of those matters. And following this, if there is indeed a resource, we go to the next stage. So the World Bank will help us to de-risk the project, which is where the highest cost and the risk, we're able to prove the resource. Once that is done, then we will go into the issue of civil works and to commercial drilling. So this is where we are with this project, and it is pretty exciting for us as a country to be able to get this base load that we're seeking, and it will give us the energy independence that we're very much seeking as a nation. Challenges, or where we are. In order for us to get to the point where we can undertake and really diversify and get the level of energy independence and bring in the level of renewable energy that we would like into our energy mix, we definitely require the enabling legislation. We've been at it for a little bit now, so we continuously working at it, and we're hoping that by the second quarter of 2021 that we will have this enabling. Quite a bit of work has been done with it. A lot of bit of the technical side is being finalized now, but we definitely require it in order to bring in the international to get into there and to be able to sell electricity, be authorized by law to be able to. That's where we are with regards to this, and that's sort of our biggest challenge. Investors into. By way of just to slow down and to move on, this is where we are with our energy sector.
Mr. Daniel, may I ask you to just pause 1 second, please, because there is someone with a microphone open, and the sound is mixing with Mr. Daniel's presentation. So can everybody just, okay, I think we're good. You can go on. Thank you.
So having covered the issue of energy, I thought I should touch on some other areas of infrastructure that we've been working on. One that continues to be in the forefront of our mind. St. Lucia is geographically challenged. We certainly have to, if you travel from the Renewal International Airport you definitely have to follow the East Coast Road coming from the south. You go across in January and you go, if you follow my mouse, get across the ridge, the Battle Hill, which is prone to landslide and flooding, and every, I mean, I think if I can go back as far as 2010 with Hurricane Thomas and 2013 with the Christmas Eve trough, I mean, we certainly have lived it. I've had to respond to it, a lot of landslide in that area. So you come across the ridge and you must get into the city of Castries and go through the traffic, and in order to take you to the north of the island and to where most of the hotel stock is concentrated. So we have in the south of the island redundancy within our road network. But when you get to Dennery on the east, the redundancy ends. So you have now to traverse one roadway into getting in to the north. The intention of our country is to establish a north-south link road that will take us from Dennery directly to the north, to Grosile, to Rodney Bay, to the hotels, to the hotel plans, to the hotels and one of the best beaches on island. It will reduce travel time. It will reduce and give us the redundancy that we're looking at, increase the resilience of the country to climate change and the vagaries of the weather, and prevent us from getting all of these landslides that we're expecting. So our first point is to get a road from Dennery, head us straight into the north. We've carried out a feasibility study of it with funding from the Caribbean Development Bank. And we're now at a stage where we want to take a little further to develop real estimates, construction estimates in order to prove and to determine the price. We have an initial price. These are more high-level estimates, but we do have a complete study. And so the phase one of the project will take us to the north, and we're hoping that the phase two, based on pronouncement by the Honorable Prime Minister, will take us through a tunnel across the Badley that will take us into the cul-de-sac basin. And the cul-de-sac basin at this point, what we now have under construction is an 80-meter bridge that is being funded by the government of Japan. And we have some other investment like the KFC that just recently opened. And there are a number of fledgling businesses in that area that will attract a lot of attention into cul-de-sac. So we're hoping that all of this will bring us the level of resilience that we're looking for under redundancy, as I said, in the road network, that would allow us now as a country to free flow within the reduced travel times, and will also increase the work productivity and contribute to the GDP. This area in the country is also sort of virgin territory. So it has a lot of opportunity for new development, open up new lands and all of those areas, touristic as well as housing development. That's really a great opportunity for this, as well as it is very much protected as well. So
thank you, Mr. Daniel. Yeah, could you please wrap it up now because of the time? You know, we're short on time. Thank you.
Just moving quickly, I spoke of cul-de-sac. We are through the St Lucia ANC Ports Authority. They're very well looking at 40,000 square meters of space to establish a new cargo port. That cargo port will free up a lot of very sought after real estate on the waterfront of Castries. And we're seeking to get an investment down in cul-de-sac. And that would, like I said, we can tie the road into it as well. And that would certainly free up a lot of space down in Castries. And in the south, it used to be a transshipment point, but at this point, based on the changes in shipping, the port has become very quiet, though it is critical to all of the investment that are now taking place in the south, like the airport. So we're also looking to establish it as a shipment point for us in the south. So these are some of the opportunities that we do have as a country, and I thank you for the opportunity for presenting it, and I hope I remain available to discuss it further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. And of course, the questions, you know, you can write them in the chat. Don't forget. We have already a few, so thank you for being available later on to answer these questions. We're going to go to our next speaker, who is Mr. Claudius Emmanuel. I guess you are here. I don't see you right now, but you're going to come up. Mr. Claudius Emmanuel, who is the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, Transport and Civil Aviation, is also the National Authorizing Officer under the European Union Programme and the National Designated Authority for the Green Climate Fund. He's a 25-year veteran of the public service, having started as an economist at the Ministry of Finance in 1995 and transitioned into the management of the Budget Office from 2010 to 2018. Mr. Emmanuel holds a postgraduate degree in international business from the University of the West Indies, Mona campus in Jamaica, and is also a cricket analyst, an author, and a songwriter. Mr. Emmanuel, this is your time to speak and do your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pascal, and good afternoon to all. Special recognition to the Consulate General and the Chamber of Commerce, our counterparts out of Martinique. I am sharing my screen, so I am hoping that you can see that. Can you just confirm that? So
we can see your screen perfectly.
Yeah,
thank you.
So, yeah, thank you very much. So I will proceed to give an indication of our medium-term development strategy and some housing opportunities that our counterparts from neighboring Martinique can certainly look to participate in. So the proposed outline is to focus on those two things, the medium-term development strategy and the housing initiatives. The medium-term development strategy is our broad policy statement for the medium-term socioeconomic development of the country from the year 2020 to 2023, so a 4-year period. And we are looking to make it as the overall all-embracing framework within which we will engage the various aspects of socioeconomic development along the various interventions. And we have a tagline that suggests Nutut Assam, which is a reflection of our Patois heritage. And of course, there's no need for any translation of that with our Martinican counterparts. And we are showing the conch shell. So essentially, this is the logo and the branding for the medium-term development strategy. The conch shell showing the clarion call for us to come together within the context of our cultural heritage to do so. An overview of the medium-term strategy is essentially one that came out of a broad-based private and public sector consultation. And that document would have been launched last year, February, and it seeks to drive growth and development over the short to medium term, looking specifically at the 4-year period. Some 6 key result areas have been identified, and I will give an indication of those in future slides. The medium-term development strategy is really a platform to achieve sustainable and inclusive growth up to the year 2030. And it speaks to really economic growth on the rise, one of the taglines that we use, which essentially reflects the fact that we're looking at growth that is such that it has all those qualities, that it is accelerated, resilient, it's inclusive, it's sustainable, and it's equitably shared. A key aspect of the features of the medium-term development strategy is that it is aligned with our broad commitments internationally. So it has the 6 key result areas, which are 3 economic priority areas, as well as 3 social priority areas. But it also is aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals, which is the universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, ensure that people enjoy peace and prosperity up to the year 2030. And it is also aligned with our 7 national development pillars, which have emerged out of our historical process of long-term economic planning. The key 6 results areas, as I indicated earlier, would be those presented there. So 3 economic sectors on the left-hand side of the slide. So these are agriculture, tourism, and infrastructure. And already in the presentations by Alana and Ivor, we have seen quite a bit of the specific initiatives under these areas, and they really buttress the socio-economic landscape that we see for ourselves going forward. Of course, the social sectors are also important, those of citizen security, education, and healthcare. So in the medium term, you have a nice blend, a nice mix of the socio-economic, and it is showing that it is a joint and collaborative and integrated approach to delivering those key areas. In the interest of time, I'm not able to give you specifics, but that information is available and can be provided. Just a quick snapshot of the sort of investment that we are looking at over the medium term, 2020 to 2023, in the region of close to 800 million EC dollars, with infrastructure driving that mostly, over 300 million, health over 360 million, and agriculture some 50 million, the expected level of investment in those areas. Let's switch focus to the investment opportunities as we zero in on the housing sector, which is in fact one of the components under my responsibility as a permanent secretary. And so the context of this is the fact that recent studies have highlighted a significant housing deficit in St. Lucia, where the demand for housing way outstrips the supply. And so government is committed to increasing the stock of housing to be able to close that gap. And the key priority area is affordable housing, as we empower the citizenry to be able to own a piece of the country and to have the dignity of having their own property and using that as a basis for self-development. If we look at the institutional setup around the regulation of housing, we have legislation that has created a St. Lucia National Housing Corporation, NHC, and there's a specific piece of legislation that speaks to that empowers this entity to acquire, hold, and manage land, among other things, as well as also to carry out business of housing development. This institution, a statutory body, it works in conjunction with the Department of Housing and Urban Renewal. And so they work hand in hand to do so. But in terms of delivering on its mandate, the NHC has sought to partner with private sector individuals or organizations, I should say, in terms of delivering housing solutions on the ground. And so what we have in place is a relationship with local companies that are involved in the preparation of identified land areas for development. And so this is ongoing, and I will give a flavor of some of the ongoing collaborations that we have. But herein lies the opportunities for investment from our colleagues, our counterparts in Martinique, because there are opportunities in terms of housing development, housing construction, and we are certainly looking to our neighbor to the north in terms of opportunities to partner with us in terms of new technologies to enable affordable housing, whether those be green type technologies that make it sustainable, new building technologies that can certainly enhance the opportunities for home ownership. Just to get a bit specific, as we look at the ongoing projects, we look at 2 ongoing ones. This first one is in an area called Shock, which is in the Castries area, just off the Castries-Grosley Highway. And you can see it is essentially the subject of ongoing development. So we've got a local company that is in the process of providing roads, drainage, electricity, and water to bring that site up to a state where it could receive housing construction. That particular site is some 57 acres of land, virgin land, and it is expected to support some 261 lots, both of a residential and commercial nature. And 211 of these would be residential and 40 commercial. So that's one. There's another one also that is under development, and that one is at Talvern in Babuno, and that is on the northeastern segment of the country. This one is in fact some 58 acres in size, and it is expected to receive some 135 lots. You see quite a bit of work being done there. This particular one is 40% complete in terms of the development of the infrastructure. The previous one at Shock, some 35% complete, as additional work is ongoing to bring those sites to a position to receive construction of housing. If we go into another...
Mr. Emmanuel, just to remind you that we have 10 minutes presentation, so...
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, so proposed housing projects. So these are in the areas of Bel-Air, Hudson, Jacmel, as well as Bois-Joli in Dennery and Auger in Labrie. A quick snapshot of where those are in the country. So in Castries and Slurry on the western coast, as well as Dennery on the eastern side and Labrie towards the south. Quick information about those. The Bel-Air subdivision, 135 lots, and this is going to be some 45 acres of land. Hudson development, some 81 lots over a land area of 11.6 acres. Jacmel and Slurry, 75 lots, 6 acres. And the other developments, as I indicated, at Bois-Joli, Dennery on the East Coast, and St. Jude, Labrie, a little typo there, Labrie, 200 acres in Labrie, and 163 lots expected under these developments. So I'm concluding. So government very much welcomes this investment forum. We see it as a great opportunity to deepen trade and socioeconomic development between our two countries, and as presented, opportunities abound in the medium-term development strategy and in the housing sector. And this is the contact information for our principals at the National Housing Corporation, the chairman and the managing director. That's the contact information. And that is my email address. As I conclude, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Sorry to push you like this, but we have timing and we know we started already late. So we're trying to catch up a little bit, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands we will have the question and answer session anyway at the end of all presentations. So please, as a reminder, to write your questions down in the chat, and then I can pick them up later on and give them to our presenters this afternoon. We're going to go on with Ms. Sunita Daniel, who is with us also. You are the Chief Executive Officer at Export St Lucia. So you previously served as an economist and Chief Planning Officer for Agriculture in St Lucia, and more recently was employed by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization as the Program Liaison Officer to the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS. Ms. Danielle is also a past teacher at Vieux Fort Comprehensive Secondary School, A-level division, where she taught economics. She holds a BS in Economics and Management, a Master's of Science degree in Public Policy and Management, and a professional level qualification in Project Management. She has a wide experience in the areas of policy, planning, and more recently was the co-coordinator of the OECS Shipping Initiative implemented by the OECS Commission. So Ms. Sanuta Daniel, I welcome you this afternoon. And it's your time for your presentation. You can go ahead, and I remind you that you have 10 minutes. I will be checking on your time anyway. You know that. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon. If you can see my screen, can you see my screen yet?
Yes.
Yes, it's good. We can do it. We can see it.
Thank you. What do I need? Okay. The role of Export St Lucia is to increase the volume and value of St Lucian exports of goods and services. We really focus on marketing and promotion, the trade information system. We give export development assistance, export facilitation, and we do program management. So what is the support that we give to business entities? So we work with existing exporters. These are private sector firms who have established export markets and require technical assistance to expand and penetrate new markets. We have export-ready firms, those who are emerging, and those are the ones who we think have the capacity to begin exporting. And we also work with potential exporters, those who have not started exporting, but have a viable product or service. What are our key priority areas? These are agro-processing, agriculture, creative industries, manufacturing, health and wellness, trade facilitation, access to finance, education, and skills development. We give assistance in export promotion. So if you need assistance in finding out what market you should go to, so we provide market intelligence information. We give technical assistance for transportation logistics. What market you'd like to go to, what are the transportation logistics you should explore. We also do product certification. We participate in trade fairs. So we bring businesses with us in trade fairs and trade missions, but we also represent those businesses outside of St. Lucia. We give export development support to export-ready small firms who we aim to bring to the international markets. Right now, we have a few programs which clients can benefit from. And a client is anybody who has a registered business in St. Lucia. So we do the testing and certification of your product for you, and we have a sum of money that's set aside to do that. And we do that through accredited laboratories around the world. Right now, we work with the European Union and with the United States laboratories. We also do packaging and labeling support. So if businesses need assistance in packaging material, we give that support. And if you need labeling, for example, we know in Martinique, it must be in a certain language. We do that kind of translation for you and for your labels. The first packaging, the first set of material that you send out, Export St. Lucia pays for that packaging and labeling support. We have a first-time exporter program. So if that is the first time somebody will be exporting from St. Lucia, we hold your hand the entire way and we give you financial support, but also take you back out into the export market. And so you would get assistance in who are your competitors, what you should do. So we give market research assistance. What is your export potential? What are the market entry requirements for whatever market in the world? Trade statistics, the logistics, your foreign supplier verification. So we make sure that the person you are going to do business with is accredited. We do country profiles, we do competition analysis. Who are the competitors? What are their prices? How should you price? So we give all of that information to businesses. We currently have a new brand, a logo, which is a marketing logo called the Taste of St. Lucia. That has been trademarked, and it is only given or granted to companies that have the highest level of products. So we are, I will move on to what our trading relationship is with Martinique. We currently have the CARIFORUM EU Economic Partnership Agreement. However, many persons have not made very good use of that for a number of reasons. Sometimes it's the language. So although we all speak the Creole, we still have some difficulty with the French officially. Sometimes there may be difficulties with transportation, knowledge of the French regulations, lack of representation of distributors on the ground. And so that's one thing we are looking for, is to look for who are the distributors in the different countries. And we're looking for partners in Martinique to partner with us and the French companies. Exports to Martinique have, as you can see from the graph, have been increasing from 2018. And these are in sauces and condiments, carton boxes, in beer, essences, pebbles and gravel painting. So we've been seeing increased exports and trade with Martinique in the past 3 years. So you'll see now my screen, pepper sauce, you'll have rum, and we are now moving quite quickly into CMOS and CMOS exports. That is a huge market in the international world, and these are areas in which investments are welcome. St. Lucia, one of the things that we can do, we can capitalize on our geographical proximity to Martinique. We're very close. We have very close historic and cultural ties with Martinique. There's a lot of movement. People come from St. Lucia to Martinique. So what we're saying is that there is already a history of trading between the two countries. We've recently had 2 major activities in Martinique where we looked at just familiarizing ourselves with Martinique, and we had a Martisan activity in 2018. So like I've just said a while ago, we are looking for also contacts of potential new buyers and distributors in Martinique. And we're also available to help any Martinican companies who want to do any kind of business here with the existing, our existing businesses. We're also looking for the relationships. We've established relationships so far through the consulate in Martinique and through the chamber in Martinique, and we'd like to strengthen those. So thank you for your attention, and I will take any questions at the end.
Thank you very much, Sunita Daniel. Very short presentation, clear and straight to the point. So thank you very much. And of course, again, your questions in the chat to be answered later on. We're going to go on with our next speaker, who is Ms. Tajma Brown. And we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, which I'm sure is going to bring a lot of questions as well, is the Citizenship by Investment Program, the CIP. I hope I say it well, or CIP. So just a little introductions to Ms. Brown. She has served as the executive assistant to the CEO at the CIP St. Lucia for the past 5 years. And prior to her employment with CIP or CIP, Ms. Tajma Brown served with the OECS Commission working on the e-government for the Regional Integration System project. And upon successful completion of this project, Ms. Tajma Brown was transferred to the Trade Policy Unit while lending assistance to the OECS Tourism Desk. Tajma Brown holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration with a major in Hospitality Management Tajma Brown successfully completed also a certification in digital media and marketing principles, and she's currently pursuing a certification in investment migration focused on citizenship and residency by investment. So still in education, this is great. So I welcome you, Ms. Tajma Brown, and this is your time for your presentation. You can go ahead and you have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal. It is indeed a pleasure for CIP St. Lucia to be part of this forum. And we do hope to shed some light on what we are and what we do. A pleasant good afternoon to all. So by law, a person may become a citizen of St. Lucia by birth, naturalization through marriage, and now through the Citizenship by Investment program. So citizenship by investment is really a legit model offered by many countries around the globe as a means of raising sovereign debt-free capital by offering citizenship to individuals after they have made a qualifying investment into that country. Now, our application process is respected globally for its efficiency while not compromising on our commitment to our rigorous due diligence. So upon receipt of an application file in both hard copy and soft copy, the unit via our verification team would assess the file for completeness to ensure that all required documents form part of the application. So once everything is fine with the application, we deem it as being compliant. And this is where an application time really begins. At this point, the application is passed on to due diligence, who will conduct thorough background checks on the applicant. And we do a two-tier background check, which is a third party through a third-party entity, and also through our local law enforcement and the Joint Communication Command Center. Once we are in receipt of those reports, the due diligence reports, we compile the information to ascertain who that individual is. And then a recommendation is therefore made to our board of directors through the CEO to grant or deny an application. Now, ultimately, the board of directors are the ones who make a final decision to grant or deny an application for citizenship. So once you have been granted citizenship of St. Lucia through CIP, the applicant will be required to make what we call a qualifying investment sum, and also to sign the oath or affirmation of allegiance before an attorney at law, a consular general, honorary counsel of St. Lucia, a notary royal, or a notary public. It is important to note that there is absolutely no landing requirements for taking the oath. So once we are in receipt of the payment of the qualifying investment option and the oath, the certificate of registration will be issued. And the certificate of registration is really the citizenship certificate. CIP St. Lucia does not process passports or issue passports. However, we have licensed agents that our applicants work with who will process the passport through the immigration department on their behalf. St. Lucia Citizenship by Investment program allows a person to become a citizen of St. Lucia by making a key investment in one of 4 qualifying investment options. And those options would be the National Economic Fund, into government bonds, approved real estate projects, and approved enterprise projects. It is important to note that these are the only investment options for the grant of citizenship. The National Economic Fund, which is normally referred to as the donation option, starts at a minimum investment amount of $100,000 USD for a single applicant. And this investment option contributes directly to the economic and development of St. Lucia. Our other investment option is the government bond option. And currently we have 2 packages available for government bonds. We have what we consider the regular government bonds and a special COVID-19 government bond, which is limited, it's a limited edition. So the regular government bond option is a 5-year holding non-interest bearing government bond. This bond must remain in the name of the applicant from the date of first issue. This bond option starts at 500,000 USD for a single applicant. And of course, the processing fees, the due diligence fees, and administrative fees are also required for this investment option. The COVID-19 bond relief option is a limited option, and it's available till December 31st, 2021. So anyone who is interested in this option would have to apply on or before December 31st, 2021 for consideration. Unlike some of the other options, the processing fee for this option has been waived. However, our due diligence is still applicable, as well as admin fees are applicable for this option. This option starts at $250,000 US for a single applicant with a 5-year holding bond. Approved real estate projects is our third investment option. And as per our act, which governs the establishment and execution of the Citizenship and Investment Program, a real estate project can only be a high-end branded hotel and resort, a high-end boutique property, and any other project that the minister, on recommendation of the unit, considers necessary. So as a result, a real estate project must be CIP approved and fall within this criteria. Unfortunately, purchasing a property in St. Lucia will not qualify as an investment for the grant of citizenship under this program. So the processing fees for this option has been waived. However, due diligence and admin fees are still applicable for this investment option. Applying for investment into a real estate project starts at a minimum of US 300,000 for a single applicant. Currently, we have 2 real estate options open for investment. And the first one is the Alpina St. Lucia Hotel, which is a 231-room hotel and 17 apartments, which is part of Equine Lagoon, located at Black Bay View Fort. We also have an approved project in Canals in View Fort, which is called the St. Lucia Canals Resort. It is a 330-room and 380 residency luxury resort. And it carries 2 brands, the Dreams and Zoidry, which is managed by AM Resorts. Our fourth investment option is an approved enterprise project. Currently, we have no enterprise projects open for investment. We are appealing to developers and investors with interest in specialty restaurants, cruise ports and marinas, agro-processing plants, pharmaceutical products, ports, bridges, roads and highways, research institutions and facilities, and offshore universities to present proposals for an enterprise project as a qualifying investment option. Of course, we at CIP, as noted by my colleague Alana earlier, we work closely with Invest St. Lucia in considering potential real estate projects and enterprise projects under CIP. We continue to make improvements to our citizenship application platform. And in recent times, we have launched our secured online payment platform where all major fees can be paid hassle-free by the applicant. We do have the option to make payments via wire transfer to our 2 designated banks in St. Lucia. Our citizenship applications can only be processed through a licensed authorized agent or licensed agent in St. Lucia. However, we do have promoters who are globally based, who are able to deal with persons outside of St. Lucia who so wish to apply for citizenship. By law, we are to process and provide a decision on an application within 90 days. However, we are now recording an average processing time of 56 days. We at CIP St. Lucia are cognizant of the fact that life goes on after the grant of citizenship. And we have recently made amendments to the legislation to allow a citizen to apply for citizenship on behalf of his or her family members. And adding on those dependents can only come through one of our 4 qualified investment options, which would be the National Economic Fund. And the application process is pretty much the same, nothing changes. A frequently asked question, considering that there are many islands in the region offering citizenship by investment, is why CIP St. Lucia and what is in it for me? And we truly believe that making an investment in St. Lucia opens the way to an invaluable citizenship and a passport that allows for visa-free and visa-on-arrival access to 146 countries globally. Our St. Lucia passport was recently ranked 30th in the world based on the latest Henley Passport Index, and the World Bank Ease of Doing Business ranking has also ranked St. Lucia 93 among 190 economies, placing us second in the Caribbean. Additionally, we truly believe that our citizenship provides security and peace of mind. And so we welcome persons who so wish to become global citizens to invest in CIP St. Lucia. I will be available for the B2B sessions, and we do understand the sensitivity of citizenship by investment. So my email address is up. Participants can feel free to send an email, and we will definitely be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dajma Brown, for your presentation. So we're going to skip this Q&A session that was coming up to go directly to our next topic, which is talking about transport and freight services, which is, of course, a very important issue in the development of business between our islands. So I'm going to call Mr. Clifford Shillingford, who is the captain of the vessel Blessed Assurance. So I don't know if he's here. I hope so. And we'll be also hearing from Mr. Bruno Pompier, who is the assistant director at Pompier SA Company. So Mr. Clifford Shillingford, are you here? Okay, so maybe what we're going to be doing, we're going to ask Mr. Pompier to start his presentation, because I'm going to check if Mr. Shillingford is with us this afternoon. And then we'll have a Q&A session, the one Q&A session actually of this forum. Mr. Pompier, it's up to you. I don't know if you're doing it in French or in English. En français.
Oui, je vais faire en français.
Très bien, merci beaucoup. Allez-y.
C'est bon?
À peu près en 10 minutes, quel est votre timing, Monsieur Pompier?
Oui, c'est bon, ça va aller, pas de souci.
Très
Après,
bien,
je vais répondre
parfait.
à toutes les questions, c'est une présentation.
Ça.
Alors, déjà, je vous remercie, je remercie l'ensemble des participants et je félicite aussi l'organisation pour ce thème. C'est vrai que, comme a dit la responsable du service export, que nous souffrons de liaison entre les îles. Donc, aujourd'hui, je représente FEC, qui est une compagnie qui a été montrée par M. Marchand et M. Amanou depuis 2014, une compagnie que vous connaissez déjà, le Capo Rosso. Ils font déjà les liaisons entre Martinique et Sainte-Lucie. Et depuis la crise, ils se sont remis en question. Il y avait un besoin fort également sur le fret marchandises. Donc, ils ont investi sur un bateau qui s'appelle le Capo Rosso 5 que vous voyez à l'écran. Ce Capo Rosso, il a une capacité de 10 tonnes. et un volume de 30 mètres cubes, ce qui permet de charger un certain nombre de marchandises avec des rotations entre 2 et 3 fois par semaine. Donc, le bateau, il est déjà sur site et on compte commencer l'exploitation début mai. Donc, c'est quand même une très bonne avancée pour faire des relations Martinique-Sainte-Lucie et réciproquement. Nous avons bien sûr des demandes de tout type, hein, que ce soit carton, agroalimentaire, des boissons et toutes sortes de… On est preneur de toutes autres marchandises. Alors, en fait, c'est une présentation qui nous permet effectivement de dire tous les produits que nous n'exportons pas, bien sûr les matières inflammables, tout ce qui est produits corrosifs et tout ce qui est soumis à réglementation. Derrière, ce qu'il faut voir, c'est que nous allons opérer le bateau au départ du port du Marin parce que le Capo Rosso exploite déjà les navires passagers au départ du Marin et donc la mutualisation de l'exploitation se fera au départ du Marin pour Castries. Le transit time est d'environ à peu près 6 heures. Donc les clients devront se présenter au marin et les marchandises vont être déposées au marin et vont déposer au marin la veille avant midi pour un chargement, pour un départ le lendemain, vers 8 heures. Donc, c'est plutôt une présentation avec beaucoup d'échanges parce que je pense qu'il y aura des questions. Donc, nous, en tant que transitaires, parce que nous représentons FEC, nous faisons les opérations de douane au départ comme à l'arrivée. Donc, au départ de Fort-de-France pour Sainte-Lucie, nous ferons les opérations de douane et les opérations qui seront faites qui arrivent pour le navire qui arrivera de Sainte-Lucie, on fera les formalités locales. Et à arriver à Fort-de-France, nous avons un opérateur qui s'appelle Fret Express Service qui va s'occuper des formalités de douane et de mise à disposition pour les marchandises. C'est vraiment plutôt une présentation qui va susciter des échanges sur le mode opératoire. Bon, c'est vrai qu'il y a un PowerPoint de présentation, mais c'est vrai que je suis plutôt preneur de questions.
Très bien. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Pompière. I just wanted to say that actually we had a translator. Our translators, Karine and Celia, were translating you into English, of course. So all our St. Lucian guests, and participants could have the translation in English, and they're going back and forth. So they're doing a great job this afternoon. We thank them again. I think Mr. Shillingford is with us.
Hello.
So maybe to complete the presentation. Yeah. Oui, Monsieur Pompière.
Alors, je voudrais rajouter quelque chose quand même.
Oui.
Si vous permettez, je voudrais rajouter quelque chose de très important. C'est qu'aujourd'hui, via le Capo Rosso 5, nous permettons à toute la communauté de Sainte-Lucie de pouvoir avoir accès à tout ce qui est sourcing, donc tous les achats au départ d'Italie, au départ d'Espagne, au départ de la France, via Fort-de-France. Parce que, en fait, nous, en tant que transitaires, nous opérons déjà des opérations de transit au départ d'Italie pour Fort-de-France directement et nous pouvons offrir ce service-là pour Sainte-Lucie via Fort-de-France. En termes de sourcing, c'est très intéressant parce que je pense que ça ouvre une porte ouverte sur l'Europe supplémentaire à Sainte-Lucie. Donc, au départ d'Italie, au départ d'Espagne et au départ de la France, quasiment sur Italie et Espagne, c'est tous les 15 jours et la France, c'est chaque semaine.
Okay. Merci beaucoup pour ces précisions.
Je vous en prie.
We're going to welcome Mr. Schillingford. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, perfect. We're having you as our next guest and last guest for the afternoon before question and answer. So you can go ahead. As I said earlier on, you are the captain for the vessel Blessed Assurance. So go ahead.
Well, we've been running the Dominica, Martinique, St Lucia route for the past 2 years. And before that, we used to run the Dominica Guadeloupe run. But we realized that there's more potential in the Dominica, Martinique, St Lucia run. So then we switched to that route, and we've been trying to develop it for the past 2 years. And so far, we have seen maybe the cargo have increased maybe by 3 times. So it's happening.
Okay, you can go ahead or with your next slide.
Okay, and the problem we have encountered in Martinique is the authorities in Martinique have treated the boat like it's an international line, and it needs to be treated like an OECS or CARICOM. There should be, I think, there should be an area on the port that is designated like a CARICOM port to make things flow faster and make things easier. There's a lot of red tape for customers in Martinique to pick up, packages and so on from St. Lucia, from Dominica. The people in the authorities in Guadeloupe have figured out a way to make it easier and faster and less complicated. So I think Martinique and St. Lucia need to figure out a way to make the process less complicated. And then once they do that, you will see the increase in movement.
Someone is having their mic open. So, okay, Mr. Schillingford, you can go on.
I suggested to the Chamber of Commerce in Martinique, maybe they should visit the operation in Guadeloupe and Saint Martin, because they have a similar arrangement in Saint Martin for the Dominican boats and CARICOM boats. So they won't be treated like a boat coming from Japan or the one of those international lines. It makes it much easier for the customers to pick up their cargo and clear it and so on. Like, it's, for example, if someone send a small box from St. Lucia to Martinique, the customer has to get a transitor, a broker who charges just for his service, probably charges more than the box is actually worth. So that right there discourages people from moving goods back and forth. So we had to figure out a way to make it less complicated and less expensive to move, items back and forth.
Okay.
But the potential is there. For example, the Dominican Guadeloupe trade, there's 3 boats. 3 boats going every week. 3 boats going every week. But in Martinique, which has a bigger market, we St. Lucia right there and Dominica right there, and even St. Vincent, we are the only vessel coming once every 2 weeks. So there's a lot of room for improvement in trade going back and forth both ways. A lot of room, a lot of potential there that needs to be harvested.
Okay, are you done, Mr. Shillingford, with your presentation?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. You raised really interesting issues and the real difficulties, you know, that still subsist in this transport and freight between islands, even though we understand also that the companies developed, so that's very interesting. I guess we heard from all of you, so I thank you very much for your presentations. And we're going to go back, if you want, to some of the questions that were put into the chat, knowing that some of them may have already been answered by our presenters. So I'm going to go back to the top of the list. And maybe you can tell me if you already answered, and if you didn't, then you can do it now if you want. We still have a few minutes for the Q&A session. So there was one question at the beginning, and I'm going to read it to you. What are the options for holders of permanent residency? Do they need to go through the same process as persons from Martinique to buy a property or invest in St. Lucia by creating a business, for example, to obtain a trade license or as an alien license, etc.? Who could answer this question?
I answered this question directly, but yes, they have to go through the same process.
Oh, okay, you did already. Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, we have another question. I don't know if this one was answered directly as well. What are the considerations for acceptance of global digital currencies for transactions? Bitcoin, ETH, etc.
This one was also answered directly. Right now, what has been launched in St. Lucia has been through the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. That's Dcash. That's the only digital currency that's being discussed in St. Lucia right now.
Okay, very good. We go down, maybe another question that was already answered. Dear all, please advise what is the currently necessary what is necessary actually to visit St. Lucia for a French citizen? This is like a global question. Yeah.
Yes. I provided a link to the travel protocols for St. Lucia.
Yeah, exactly. With the COVID situation, is that it?
Yes, yes.
But it applies to anybody. It's not just the French citizen, or do you have something specific for the?
It applies to everybody. It doesn't matter your nationality.
Exactly. So you have like a 2-week quarantine. Is that what it is? Okay.
Yes, 2-week quarantine and testing prior to arrival in St. Lucia.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the next question was answered as well. What's the estimated time frame for the North-South Link Road? And I saw 30 minutes, is that correct? Anyone can confirm that this is the right answer that was given in the chat, or do you want can somebody maybe develop or correct?
Did you say 30 minutes? I think the person wanted to determine how long is the North-South Link Road, if I interpret it correctly.
Yes, that's what's the estimated time frame for the North-South Link Road.
Right. So I think I answered it to indicate that the airport terminal is expected to be completed by January early 2023. And following this, we're expected that the road will carry the traffic volumes or the elephant to double, and that the road will is expected to carry this traffic. So it's expected that soon after, or even along there, we would have been ready with our project, 2023 and beyond, or even sooner, because there is already a line of financing based on the airport development charge that will be allocated towards the financing of this road. So it is really a priority for the government.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. There is also a question, you're going to tell me if you answered already. What types of projects are to be created at Chocolate Estate? Do you plan to have a mall with restaurants and other businesses, or is it going to be dedicated to industry stakeholders or factories, such as the area in Bois d'Orange?
Well, yeah, I gave an indication of a response. So essentially at Choc, there are 40 lots reserved for commercial activity. These are various sizes. and I'm not aware that there's necessarily any restrictions in terms of commercial activity. I think if we look at what currently obtains in the vicinity, it would give us an indication of the type of stuff that can be accommodated there. So you have fast food, you have banks, you have vehicle dealerships, you have administrative offices. So I would say there's a range of commercial activity that can be accommodated.
Okay, thank you very much. This one also was answered. I think, Mr. Emmanuel, you answered to this one. Can you provide us some metric regarding cost estimation, for instance, lot prices and average cost per square meter? It was for the lots that are in development, in housing, that's right? And you gave the answer.
Yes.
OK. There is a question here. Est-ce que vous prévoyez une autre option pour ceux qui ne peuvent pas se rendre aux marins? Donc là, ça s'adresse aux transporteurs maritimes, mais uniquement dans la zone CACEM pour acheminer la marchandise du centre de la Martinique vers le marin, puis vers Sainte-Lucie et vice-versa. Donc, est-ce qu'il y a une autre option pour ceux qui ne peuvent pas se rendre dans le marin, mais qui sont uniquement sur la zone centre? Monsieur Pompierre, peut-être, peut répondre?
Parfait. Oui, effectivement, il y aura des mises en place de départ au départ de Fort-de-France, mais on va les faire plutôt pour les chargements complets. On pourra réserver une zone, un espace pour compléter ce chargement au départ de Fort-de-France. Oui, c'est possible.
Très bien, merci beaucoup. Il y a une question dans le chat. Alors là, je reprends le chat directement parce qu'entre-temps, des questions sont arrivées. On the first PowerPoint presentation on slide 4, so this was Mrs. Alana Lansicot-Bryce. There was a slide 4 with BPO, KPO, and the person was wondering what it meant.
It means business process outsourcing or knowledge process outsourcing.
Okay, okay. So do you want to develop more? The person maybe needs some more information, or do they...
It refers to companies that provide outsourcing services to other companies. So for example, they provide administrative, marketing, sales, customer services to other companies so that the contracting company can focus more on their core business.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lansicot-Bryce. There is a question also for Ms. Sunita Daniel. So it was for Export St Lucia and sufficient transportation between St Lucia and Martinique for people or goods. Is it sufficient or insufficient as we speak? Ms. Daniel is still with us? Maybe not. Okay. Maybe this question can be also in the B2B session so that we can develop on that. Okay. Okay. Can you provide the information for the carrier or agent shipping from Italy? Okay, there was a question maybe for Mr. Pompierre. Oui.
Oui, dites-moi.
Oui, la question c'est est-ce que vous pouvez nous donner des informations sur un transporteur qui ramène des choses d'Italie?
Oui, en fait, le transporteur, c'est nous, donc il n'y a pas de souci. Je réponds à toutes les questions. Nous faisons des départs Italie tous les 15 jours au départ de Livourne. Chargement dans les conteneurs et sécurisé, transbordement sur Fort-de-France et arrivée sur Castries. Le transit time Italie-Fort-de-France est de 18 jours, sachant que nous avons 3 départs semaine sur Fort-de-France pour Castries. Donc 18 jours, bon, disons en 25 jours, ça peut être à disposition à Sainte-Lucie.
Okay. A question, is there any advantages for the people of Martinique and Guadeloupe since these territories are associated members of the OECS in terms of investments in St. Lucia? And I will also maybe add up to that. I was surprised that Mr. Schillingford was talking about so many problems, since we are associate members of this OECS, that there was so much red tape on our ports. So maybe you can develop on that and answer this two-part question. Who could answer to that? In fact, since we are associate members of the OECS, is there any advantages for us in terms of investment or not?
Well, from an Investir in Lucia standpoint, really the advantages in terms of incentives and facilitation, it really depends on the amount of money that's going to be invested in St. Lucia and the number that are going to be employed. It's not based on a nationality per se. As it relates to the OECS specifically, and Martinique being an associate member, it would still have to obtain a trade license. That's the only difference between what a local could do and what a Martinican can do. Once you're full members, you don't have to get a trade license. But so an associate member would have to get a trade license. That's a pretty straightforward process.
Okay, thank you very much, Alana. Si une entreprise veut s'installer à Sainte-Lucie, vous avez parlé des formalités à accomplir, dont l'enregistrement de la société avec association. La question, en fait, c'est de revenir encore sur ces formalités, c'est ça? C'est une question de Maryse. Si elle peut juste préciser sa question, parce que ce n'est pas une question. Voilà, un investisseur martiniquais doit-il obligatoirement être associé à un chef d'entreprise de Sainte-Lucie pour pouvoir s'installer à Sainte-Lucie? I guess you had the translation.
By the way, Pascal, we're not hearing the English translation.
Oh, you're not having the English. I'm sorry. Well, I will do it then. I'm sorry. I thought Karine and Celia, you were hearing Karine and Celia. So actually, it was about a person from Martinique who wants to invest in St. Lucia. Does he have or she have to be, associated to a business person or entrepreneur of St. Lucia? Do they have to have this association, this partnership, to be investing in St. Lucia, to put his company in St. Lucia? Does he have to be in partnership with a St. Lucian, a Lucian person?
No, they would not. They could set up the business on their own, but they would need a trade license.
Okay, so they will need a trade license. And the next question is, how much is the trade license?
1,000 EC for new applications, 500 EC renewable every year.
Okay, so it's like a yearly license
Yes.
that you have to renew. Okay, very good.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think we went down the chat. I'm gonna maybe hand it to Joanna, who is with us, because we are going to go, Joanna, into the B2B sessions. So we get back to you and Gilda, Charles, for conclusion.
Yes.
And thanking, of course, everybody who participated. It was, we started late, but we made it. So that's the, that's the point, that's the purpose today. So I thank you all. It was really a very interesting and very rich afternoon.
Yes. Pascal, I just want to echo what you just said. I'd like to thank everyone, the presenters. They came on board without any hesitation, given their busy schedule. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you all. The presentations were very, very good, with a lot of information. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for their partnership, for their efforts, for hosting this successful forum. And of course, I'd like to thank the participants, because without participants, we won't have a forum. And it is our hope at the consulate. I mean, the most we can do is to set the platform, but it is our hope that everyone will have come away from this forum with the information and, of course, with the knowledge and, of course, the incentive to want to invest in St. Lucia. Right now is a very, very good time. Like I said, given the COVID and economies have really been affected, I think it is the right moment, the opportune time to invest, to increase this exchange economically between the two islands. The potential is there. It has always been there, but I think more so now than ever before, the time is right. So I'm hoping that we were able to achieve this with the forum. And of course, for those of you all who are staying on for the B2B, stay tuned. Don't leave the meeting just as yet. Ms. Charles is going to now explain how the B2B works.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Alton. So thank you so very much once again, participants, presenters, Ms. Laveniere, CCE, thank you so very much. In terms of our B2B presenters, I would kindly ask that you stay connected. You don't disconnect from this link. You simply will be transmitted then and distributed into your different subrooms for your B2B sessions. Participants, the same will be done for you. You have already received your invitations for your B2B sessions. And so you simply have to stay on with the links that were provided so that you can then be transferred over to your B2Bs. Thank you.
And thank you, Pascal. Excellent job. Thank you very much.
Well, I did my best. Thank you. Thanks to you.
And thank you to the translators. I know it was not easy having to switch from English to French simultaneously, but you all did a great job from what I'm seeing from the comments. Everybody seems to have had a very good understanding of the forum, which is what we had hoped for. So thank you, everybody. I have to admit, we all, you know, with our efforts, I think made it a success. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Okay. Have a good afternoon.
L'esprit gagnant, c'est Martinique.